Is it going? I think it's going. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Odinic School of Mysteries. My name is Bear. Thanks for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. I have to confess, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Actually, I did this on purpose because it's one of those things that things get a little too planned sometimes. And I'm speaking from someone who never makes very strong plans when it comes to these things. Anyway, like I have an idea what I want to talk about. I'll work through a couple of points in my head about like where I want to end up. And then I just let the chips fall where they may. The mysteries have always been something that was taught orally. And so I make it a point to keep that tradition as live as best I can by using this format without making it too fancy. And I've done that on purpose because I've gone pretty fancy, but I haven't gone as fancy as, well, you've seen some YouTubers. They go really, really fancy. And I've purposely stayed away from that. Heavy editing, that sort of thing. Because it's just, you know, it's nice just to talk to people. And it's, I don't expect this video to get a lot of views. It's not gonna, I don't even know if it's gonna be all that interesting. I just want to have a drink with y'all and say hello. A lot of people, and I think I've talked about this before, wonder what the process is like. How does the mystery school work? And what does it seek to do? I had no idea I was going to talk about this. I just, it just happens, I guess. So what is a mystery school like? And what does it seek to do? I think the first thing that needs to be said off the bat is that you don't need a mystery school. You don't. It's not something you need. It's not something that is required for enlightenment or any kind of higher spiritual learning. Certainly not. I just want to make sure I know where my dog is. Lily! Oh, there you are. Hey, Lily. Where was I? It's not required for any kind of higher learning in occultism. But it certainly is helpful, I think, if you're a certain kind of person. You know, Manly Hall, probably one of the best and greatest esotericists that have lived in the 20th century, easily, was a 33rd degree Mason. And people think he was initiated into the Masons and went up through all the ranks and stuff. That actually wasn't true. He learned it on his own. He learned it through study and through work and through reading. And he learned the mysteries. And he got to a level where they gave him an honorary 33rd degree Masonhood. And he had never, up until that point, he had never even stepped a foot, quote unquote, inside a Masonic temple. I don't know if he actually had or not, but that's just a, you know, it's a matter of speaking, you know. I never stepped foot in a police station. Well, you don't mean that you've literally never been in a police station. And, you know, I get a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot. My channel isn't that big. But I get enough folks who think that, that initiation to some level like that is really necessary, and it's really not. The information is out there, and it's something that is definitely knowable and discoverable on your own. Where the mysteries come in, where the mystery schools come in, is that it takes someone who is a very good student, meaning someone who's really willing to do the work and put forth the effort, and takes them step by step through the process of learning. And so people think that what's involved here, there's a log truck or something. What's involved here is like this download of all these super secrets. Like you watch these videos on YouTube where, you know, the flat earthers speculate that the Masons are told that the earth is flat, and it's the super secret, you know, or that there's a secret passphrase that makes people do whatever you want, or you learn, you know, just these hocus pocus stuff. Everything from summoning demons to UFOs to flat earth to all this crazy stuff. And it's not that at all. The stuff that we do in the mystery schools are the stuff we talk about here. It's learning philosophy, learning how the mind works, learning how to, after learning how your mind works, learning how to think in a way that is beneficial. And, you know, a lot of my students, when they first start, spend the better part of 6 months coloring and playing a game on their phone called Unblock Me. A lot of journaling. We do a lot of self-exploratory stuff. I have a student right now who has a lot of fears. And so we sit down and say, okay, where is this fear coming from? Why do we have it? And then we cut out all the bullshit, right? There's a lot of red herrings. I got a new pair of suspenders, and they're just not comfortable. My other one's broke. So we say, okay, so you're afraid, right? We have all these fears that we could see that you have. Okay, so let's break this down. What are you really afraid of? And then you start cutting the fat and cutting the red herrings. For those of you who don't know, a red herring is a turn of phrase that means it's something that appears to be something. Let's say that I have an overeating problem, right? That's a red herring, we could say, because it's not really that you have a overeating problem. It's that actually you're a very anxious person, and you're depressed, and you're self-medicating. You're seeking that dopamine hit, or you're dopamine addicted. It's not that you have a food problem, it's that you have too much dopamine in your system. Right, so that's what a red herring is. It's not that you're addicted to food, it's that it's actually something else entirely. And, you know, another thing that we do right off the bat whenever we get a new student is, tell me what you want. And I even did a video on this. Tell me what you want. And then we break it down. It's like, okay, is this really what you want? Do you really want money? Do you really want wisdom? Do you really want to be a part of a mystery school? What is it that you really want? Or are all these things that you want really just symptoms of something else that you want? Right? It's not that you want wisdom per se, but wisdom gets you someplace. It's a currency, right? Just like money is a currency. It's not really about the wisdom. It's about the destination that hopefully that you would in time arrive at. A very heavy psychology. We learn a lot about, I spend a lot of time with initiates working on the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine and bringing those in. And this is all in an effort to get, well, it does two things. There's a saying that says all work is self-work. It's, if you want to know the things that are higher, if you want to know the things that are higher in scope, about the gods, about the universe, about cosmology, and just all the higher mysteries, so to speak, you have to know yourself first. You have to be able to identify all the gods in yourself. You have to be able to really know how to think and be able to hold multiple ideas in your head at once. And so by the time you actually come to the point of becoming initiated, because all of this happens pre-initiation, you're ready to actually receive the good stuff. But the good stuff isn't as cut and dry as people think. There was a person I was talking to on YouTube, not on YouTube, I'm sorry, over email. And I was trying to explain how truth isn't something that we could understand logically. It's too big. It's not something that you could just describe. At least not the capital T truth that we're talking about. You know, there's like, well, did you steal the cookie? Well, I did. Right, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the capital T truth, the big thing, you know, that explains the cosmos out there in the skies, the gods, the universe, the creator of all things, the great matrix, this, whatever this is, right? And there's a really good example of this. We do this all the time in our normal language. So like the color red. If I was to say, explain to me or describe to me the color red, you'd probably say, well, it's the color of a fire engine. And I would say, well, are you actually describing, what are you describing here? The fire engine or the color? Because in truth, no pun intended, that you can't describe color in any logical way. You can't. It's beyond. I'm here, look, I'm standing in snow right now, right? Describe white, right? Describe describe white without, if you're talking to a blind person who's never seen white before, how would you explain it? What are you going to say? It's the color of snow? He doesn't know what the color of snow is. We do this all the time. And this is what myth attempts to do. We have these concepts that are too big. I talked about this on my last video. That are too big to wrap your mind around. And so myth acts as an enzyme, a ferment. It's something that helps to fertilize the soil so you could have something to grow. And so what we try and do, because I can't tell you what the color white looks like. Right. And so what the mystery schools try and do is, after you've built those mind muscles, right, you flex those to the point where they're balanced and they're working correctly and you could think properly and that kind of stuff. Then we start introducing, some people call them keys, but really we start using the myths in the way that the myths were intended to be used, which was a way to tease out truth, to get the person to experience what is actually there rather than me just telling it to you. Because if I just tell you something, that's not knowledge. That's not really knowing something. That is, well, one, it's belief. But memorizing a fact of something is not the same thing as knowing something. If you want to be an arc welder, you have to actually touch an arc welder. You have to actually put the electrode and the little clamp and actually weld beads and practice and mess up and get your electrode stuck, and you have to, like, you know, crank it back and forth to get it to break off and try again. You grind it out and try again. And that's how you get to know to be a welder. It requires no textbooks. You just need to know. You have to have someone to kind of show you the way. Or if you're patient enough, you can figure it out on your own. But that's kind of what we're talking about here, is that you're not giving you a list of things to memorize. We're giving you ways of experiencing truth so that you can understand it for yourself. So that you really know it. And not just, you know, it's not just something you just memorized. But it requires, and this is why I actually almost kind of half, 2/3 dissuade people from wanting to join a mystery school, because it requires such a large amount of time and work. In the thousands of hours. And there's very strict rules. And it's not something that you just step into. You know, it's in some ways, it's really beneficial because it leads you through all the proper steps to get to where you're going, to actually be able to do what you need to do. You'll have teachers and people to kind of guide you along the way. But on the same token, you know, you also have very strict rules on what you can and can't talk about. There's guidelines. Not everyone gets to get in. It's frustrating, and there's a lot of reading, and there's a lot of meditation, and there's a lot of self-analysis, and there's a lot of developing a good relationship with your teacher. And it's not I'm not a part of another mystery school, so I guess I can't say that I have intimate knowledge on the way that, say, the Masons conduct themselves. But my impression is that it's not what people think it is. You know, all mystery schools, all are centered around a dying God myth. Because the dying God myth is about man, about the state of man and where man has come from and how man has fallen into the state of decay that he has become. And so the dying God myth is about the death and resurrection of the wisdom God, so that man is dead and then he comes back up from the grave. And so all mystery schools have this. The Christian mysteries have this. The death of Christ, the Eleusinian mysteries had this. The Eleusinian mysteries of Lucius concern the descent into the underworld of Persephone. The mysteries of Osiris, the same thing. One of my favorite all-time, well, I have two besides the Odinic myth. My two other favorite dying God myths of all time, of course, besides my own, the Odinic one, is the dying God myth of Ishtar. Or I think, is it Inanna? I think Inanna might be her Sumerian name, and Ishtar might be her Babylonian name. Basically, it's the same god. And I could be getting it wrong. I feel like I could be getting the Sumerian name wrong. But her descent into the underworld is just, it's just fantastic. It is just fucking amazing. I'm going to swear on purpose because it's just that good. And it's all laid out so perfectly. And from the things she does to prepare for it, and how every gate she passes, the 7 gates down into the underworld she passes, she loses a piece of her garment. You know, she loses her hat and her necklace, and then her robes, and then her shoes, and, you know, like everything starts coming off until she loses everything of her divinity when she enters the underworld, and then she gets killed. She gets hung on a hook. There is a theme. There's actually a subcategory of dying god myths that are concerned with the hanged god, because it's that pervasive. Hanged gods are everywhere. Another hanged god would be, well, Jesus is a hanged god, but I'm thinking now of Prometheus, a hanged god. I think Quetzalcoatl was a hanged god, maybe. Or maybe it was his other incarnation, his Incan incarnation, I don't remember. I can never remember. There's a lot of those. There's like Inca and Aztec and Maya, and I don't remember if those are like separated by geography or time. And I feel like they're separated by time, and I don't remember which ones are which. But those kind of those Mesoamerican gods in there. And my other favorite one is not even most people don't even think of it as a dying god myth. because it doesn't appear to be a dying god myth. And a lot of them are actually that way, where the god doesn't appear to be dying. The Odinic one, it really depends on the translation. Like I've seen some where they've suggested that he's died, and some where they suggested he hasn't. But I think he kind of fits into the stealth dying god category. The guy, shit, I could tell it's late because I can't seem to remember anything. The guy who killed the Minotaur, our friend Alex would know. She's grew up in Greece and she learned all this in school. I always want to call him Perseus, but it sounds kind of like Perseus. It's not. Anyway, so you have this, like the story of the mystery hero who kills the Minotaur. So you have this being with some backstory behind it, but I'm going to skip that part. So you have this beast who lives in the middle of this labyrinth, and when anyone who goes in there gets killed. And it's this really dangerous thing because it's killing a lot of people. And so hero that sounds like Perseus goes into the, I would look it up, but I'm using my phone, so I can't just, it'd turn off the video if I wouldn't looked it up. So he ties there's a friend who helps him out. So she gives him a weapon that's specially made for this purpose, and she gives him this cord to tie around his waist, so when he goes into the labyrinth, he can find his way back out. And you want to talk about symbolism, about the descent of a hero into the underworld to conquer death and find his way back out again. Oh my God, you're talking about like an amazing story. And I'm a nerd for this shit, right? This is the kind of story that makes my blood go, woo! You know, I love this stuff because it's, oh my gosh. And there's so much symbolism in there that's so similar to the Odinic myth, where we're talking about, like even the Hindus, they have, I forget what the name of the cord is. They have a cord that they wrap around themselves, which symbolizes the connection to heaven. Odin has the noose. The Masons even have, it's not a noose, I think they call it a tow line. But it's used kind of like a noose. It's kind of like hung around the neck. He has a cord he ties around his waist, you know, dangling into the underworld by a thread. And you have this connection to the divine that stays with you in your descent down. Is just amazing. It is just fucking gorgeous. And, you know, killing the beast, killing that carnal nature that dwells within, the part of man that is an animal. And I deviate a lot from a lot of the Norse pagans in this way, where they almost, and I don't want to like really piss people off, but in a lot of ways, Norse paganism in some circles has really become, they're really just Satanism. And Satanism is the worship of ego. It's the worship of self and self-gratification. And so it's this, and that's the short version of it. That's the easy version of it. But, you know, where it's like man is an animal, and survival of the fittest, social Darwinism, and conquer and ravage the land, you know, that kind of thing. I really disagree with that entirely. I don't think that's accurate, or that's what we should be focusing on. It's that killing of that beast nature, that carnal, lustful, self-indulgent, self-destructive thing inside, so that the divinity can be set free. the part of you that is actually divine, that divine spark, that sons of God, sons and daughters of Odin and Frigg, that noose, we call it in the Odinic mystery schools, we call it putting your head through the noose, where you are you're reestablishing that connection with spirit and with divinity. So on the outside looking in, you know, people look at these mystery schools and it looks grotesque. It looks like it's death worship because, you know, here we have you know, the Odin is a hanged god. You know, even some of his names refer to him being strung up or long or elongated, where his neck is like long from being hung to death. And I can't remember what that name is, and it's probably not something I could pronounce anyway. Because let's face it, I'm American, and I can't... If I say other names in their proper tongues, I just sound like an idiot, you know. Los burritos grandes. You know, I just come across like a moron. And we've all known those people who do that. David Sedaris had a joke about that. Anyway, we have a gallows god, right? Jesus, I know Jesus is kind of unpopular in these circles, but, you know, the Christians have forever worshipped a maimed God. And they say, no, he's resurrected. And like, then why the hell are you keep wearing him why do you wear your dead God on a crucifix, right? There's, well, I do know why. And it's because Jesus is actually a solar symbol. The cross is actually the cross of the zodiac, and you have the sun in the middle of the cross of the zodiac. I know, pissed the Christians off by that one. But most Christians don't know that. Most Christians just follow the doctrine and don't ask questions. But they have a dead God that they worship, and it's on his neck. They even eat their God during communion. So there's a lot of messed up things. You know, we have Inanna on a meat hook, and we have Prometheus being torn apart by an eagle chained to a mountain. We have the Freemasons who reenact the murder of Hiram Abiff, the Master Mason. I mean, you just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Eleusinian mysteries, the reenactment of the descent of Ishtar. Egyptian mysteries, the descent of... I'm sorry, I said not an Ishtar. I'm sorry. Persephone. The descent of Persephone into the underworld and her resurrection. Back up in the spring, I think. And then you have the temple rites of Osiris, right? It's all the way down the line. You just go right down the line. Sun gods and wisdom gods, man. Hey Lily, hey doggy dogs, how you doing? Dying god myths. Hey, come here. You want to say hi to everyone? There you go. You say hi? No, are you too cold? Yes. Go play in the snow. Oh. I mean, it just goes on and on. And every mystery school is really leave my fat alone. making pemmican, and I have my fat freezing out here on the front porch. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I mean, it seems grotesque, right? It seems like we're worship death. Skull and Bones, I'm told, has a similar thing where you lay it in a coffin and everyone points swords at you. I don't know if that's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. You know, it's just, but people don't know the reasons behind it. And those stories are used to help initiates realize something that is bigger than themselves, that you wouldn't be able to really get if I was just to tell you something. And for what it's worth, I have told you a lot on this channel so far. I've told you a ton of the real life mysteries, of the real life stuff, and few people get it. People don't understand it. And it's because you can't learn truth that way. Truth is an abstract. It's bigger than all of us. And so you have to use these stories as a means of circumventing that problem. And so you get to discover what the color blue is without actually seeing the color blue. And it's a very tricky process, and it takes a long time, and some people don't get it. And it takes a lot of work, and so we, that's what we do, you know. I have a friend of mine and a fellow initiate was laughing the other day because she'd come a really long way. And she really worked really hard on it. And I can't remember if it was this conversation or another conversation, but at some point in the relationship, my friend said that, you know, it's so funny, if you told me a year ago what I would be doing, I would laugh at you. You know, because it's like, oh, the secret to the universe. Well, spend 2 hours a day coloring. Do some journaling. Ask some questions. You know, nothing like what you thought. Nothing like what you thought. And that's really what happens, is because people have been so... well, there's two things that are going on. They've been so divorced from true spirituality that they wouldn't know it if it bit them in the ass. Because I think spirituality is Christianity or the New Age movement. And neither of those are really good. I think I'm out of that. And neither of those is very good, are very good examples of what true spirituality is. So you have that problem. And then you have the other problem, which is that there's been so much baggage put on groups like this that the myth of them is greater than the actual the actual thing. You know, it's like, think of all the films and YouTube videos and conspiracy programs that were produced about the Masons. You know, when the truth of the matter really is that when it comes to actually being a Mason, I imagine that it's a lot more like going to church, you know, a non-theistic church. You know, you meet people, you make good connections, you do some ritual, and you go home. And I've been told, you know, and of course, this isn't something I could verify. It's not like I could like pull sources, but I've been told that Freemasonry just isn't what it was. Even in the days of Albert Pike, when he wrote his giant tome, which he borrowed liberally from other people, meaning he plagiarized most of it. Even in the days of Albert Pike, it was waning. But it's not a mystery school really anymore. It's a boys' club. There are people who are 33rd degree Masons who don't know anything about esoteric Freemasonry. And that's a shame. That's a fucking shame. That is a gross, it's gross negligence. And so these societies have really become just sorting houses and networking, ways to network. And you get to say you're part of a secret society, and you get to know the true meaning of the symbols. But it's not what people think, you know, it's just, people think it's like the movies, where you get to summon, you know, you summon deities out of the ground, and, you know, they see these pictures of Aleister Crowley naked with bare-chested babes on an altar, and they think, yeah, that's what I want. But it's, but that's the truth of it. It's really for people who like psychology. And that's really, actually, I think, Mark Passio said that. And I think that was really a fantastic observation. Is he said that basically the occult is ancient psychology. And he's absolutely right. That's really all that is. You know, you see like the all-seeing eye or Odin's spear or something like that. And it's communicating a huge psychological idea into just two shapes. And so there's a lot going on there. You know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, what if you stack like 6 pictures on top of each other? Well, then it's worth 6,000 words and more. So it's, you know, that's what symbology is, right? It's not something huge and mysterious. It's a language. It's a complicated language, but it's a language. And if you learn to speak the language, you could read it. And you've been through the mystery school system, and you don't have to be a Freemason in order to figure out what they're trying to say, because you know the psychology of it. It's not as I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not as impressive as people think it is. And that's the that's the problem. You know, I tell people I'm in a mystery school, and I come out of a mystery school, a Norse mystery school. And people are like, ooh. It's not that impressive. It really isn't that impressive. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that it were. But I'm not going to bullshit you. It's really not as impressive as people think. You know, it's like, okay. Go tell your friends that you have a secret. It's a big secret. It is an enormous secret. It is a secret that is above all secrets, right? It's a secret that's above all secrets. But you tell your friend, well, you know, I told John and Tim, but I'm not going to tell you. You're not worthy. What happens? I mean, you like freak out. You're like, what the hell is this thing? What is this big secret I'm supposed to know about? What happened? Was someone raped? You know, what is the secret? And then it turns out to be something stupid and you feel let down. And it's kind of, I'm not saying that what I'm doing is something stupid or that the mysteries are stupid. But what I'm saying is that's kind of where we're at, where people think that there's all this oogie boogie stuff. And it's not. It's not oogie boogie stuff. It's psychology. There's no sacrificing of babies. There's no eating flesh given to idols. There's no Jesus. I mean, there's just all the stuff they say. None of it is true because no one really gets it. People don't know the psychology, so they don't know what the symbols mean. And people are afraid of what they don't understand, and they will not research what they fear. And so it's a vicious cycle. And so the all-seeing eye becomes this symbol of world domination and Illuminati and on and on and on and on and on and on. And they don't know the language of symbology, and so it becomes lost, you know. The all-seeing eye doesn't mean the same thing if it's on top of a pyramid as it does if it's in a Visica Pisces. A Visica Pisces is basically, it's that almond shape that you get when you take two circles and you kind of bring them together and you have that it's called the womb shape, the kind of the almond shape. It's called a Visica Pisces. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's Latin, so give me some grace. You know, so if it's in a Visica Pisces, it's slightly different than if it's on top of a pyramid. You know, the meanings change, context matters, and so the hype eats away at everything. It's getting cold out here. You see my breath? So anyway, if you have the opportunity to join one, I highly suggest you do. It's one of those things I think everyone should do, but I don't think, but it's a burden, right? There's definitely some things involved with it that just aren't very convenient and things that are uncomfortable. You know, I had to tell a student to go take cold baths for a week. She got too wrapped up in her own head. And so it was like, okay, well, you know what? You're going to need to go see if you could let's see if you could keep your head when you're uncomfortable. All right, let's try and break through the ice a little bit. And she hated it. And she complained about it. And she's not really a complainer, right? She's usually the kind of person who's like, yeah, let's do it. but she really didn't like this. And so, you know, there's an old rule that says, don't ever make anyone do anything you're not prepared to do yourself. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, I looked at my thermometer outside and it said, I think, it said, was it 20 degrees, 27 degrees, 20s, somewhere in the 20s. I'm like, all right, you don't like the cold? Fine. So I had my wife film me, and I put a towel around my waist, and I waded out in the middle of the foot-high snow and just plopped right in the middle of it, and I just covered myself in snow. And it was cold, and it was uncomfortable, but I did it. To show that, you know, I was prepared to do the same thing I made her do. And, you know, we all had a good laugh, and it was really a lot of fun, and she completed her week and then moved on with her life. But that's just it's the kind of stuff we do, you know, try and break through those freaking barriers that we set up for ourselves. And we set up a lot of fucking barriers for ourselves. We get all wrapped up in our heads. And most people don't even take the time to even investigate themselves, to even know who they are. Do you know who you are? I mean, that's a serious question. I mean, if you want a real mystery school question offered to you so you know what it's like, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are really? And so, like, if you wanted to say, here's an example from earlier in our conversation. So, story and myth, right? Story and myth. Why do we use story and myth? For the same question as you can't answer is who you are. You can't answer that question, I can guarantee it. Am I Bear? Am I the person my parents... Is my name the name my parents gave me? When you were born, you were given a race, you were given a nationality, you were given a political party affiliation, you were given a religion, you were given a doctrine, you were given a list of things that were moral and not moral. You were told which behaviors were good and not good. You were told what is polite and not polite. You were told that you should go to college or you shouldn't go to college, or you should get a math degree or you shouldn't get a math degree, or you need to go and get a job as a doctor so that you would be, you know, you would have a lot of, you can make a lot of money, or not, right? You should get involved in activism. All this fucking baggage was put on you when you were born. All this baggage was put on you when you were born. Is any of that you? Or is that this place? All of that shit was put on you. All that shit was told to you so that you would be a good candidate for this place. And if you want to progress anywhere, you have to really know who you are. Who are you? Who are you really? And truth is, you're the sons and daughters of Odin. Your father is Odin, your mother is Frigg. Congratulations. But all that divinity, All of that was taken from you and replaced. It was interred into a spark in that holy seat within you, in here, buried in matter, way down deep inside, and layered upon layered upon layered of bullshit on top of you. So you can't escape. You don't know who you are. Who are you? No, you're just I don't know, what's a girl's name? You're just Stephanie. I forgot what a girl's name is. You know, you're just Stephanie. You're just Hope. You're just Janie or whatever, right? Your duty is to go to work and make an income and then come home and masturbate and go to sleep. And that's what we think life is. And I have family members who think that's what life is. And when we told them that the gods called us to Maine, they did not get it at all. They did not understand. But, you know, there's people out there like me, like my wife, like my mother, like other people that I know who have been homesick their entire lives. They have never been a place where they haven't been homesick, where they haven't longed for more. They haven't been... the concept of money, for some reason, feels stupid and foreign. The idea of authority feels stupid and foreign. The idea that you have to go to work every day just to survive feels stupid and foreign. Not in the work in the sense of, I have to go get food, but in the sense of, I have to go work at a business so I could get money, so I could buy food, and then come home and waste it on shit, right? I have to make money. I have to do all this stuff so I could buy a TV, and then I have to buy the newest Xbox, and then I have to buy the internet to go with the Xbox, and then I have to buy the, you know, the fiber optic cable so I could play the Xbox, and then I have to, you know, it just fucking goes on and 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 on. Right? The bullshit. All the bullshit is just foreign to people. When it's foreign to you, it feels weird because you're not from here. And that is really the thesis statement of everything I've talked about. You're not from here. This isn't your house. You're in the domain of a god that isn't your own. You're in the underworld. It's the first arcanum of all the mysteries. An arcanum, for those who don't remember, is something that must be known first before all other things in a given category can be known and understood in their appropriate contexts. You cannot become a doctor without the first arcanum. What is the first arcanum? It is anatomy and physiology. Right? You have to know how the body works if you want to heal it. Just like if you want to be a fighter, you have to know how the body works if you want to break it down. You have to know these things. The first arcanum of the mysteries. The first thing that is taught to initiates when they first enter the mysteries and they have their first initiation right is you are dead, this is the underworld. That is the thesis statement of every single mystery school under the sun. Fucking guarantee it. If it's not said in those exact words, it is heavily used. That is the idea that is being put forward. You are divinity incarnated, and you have forgotten literally everything about yourself. You don't remember your own name. You don't remember where you've come from. You don't remember your house or your people. You don't remember anything. All those things were given to you when you came here. You're given a false people. You're given a false name. You're given a false religion. You're given a political affiliation which matters nothing. It's an illusion. It's a trick. It's a joke. Do you know what a joke is? Like where that word actually comes from? Most people don't. A joke, it was originally a sailor's term when a crewmate gets washed overboard. It was called a joke. And it was said, if you can't take a joke, you can't be a sailor. True story. All of this is a joke. You've been washed overboard. And everything you're experiencing now is not what you were designed for. You were designed for so much more than what you are. You are princely. You're radiant. You are profundity. You are the totality of creation itself. You are the whole of the mysteries wrapped into one thing. You are a God who forgot that he or she is a God. And the great tragedy is no one was told this. The great tragedy is that the powers that be hide this. That you have to wait for some fucktard to decide that you're worthy enough to know this information. And most people probably aren't worthy to know this information. But frankly, we've run out of time. And that's the truth. And so I'm telling you this information. I was told to tell you this information. This information was told to me to give to you by the people who are above my pay grade. I have an ability to talk. They say because I'm a Gemini that communication is my forte. I don't really... Alex, my colleague who's going to be on, or depending on when this goes live, has already been on or will be on Wednesday to do a talk on Seder and astrology. But and so this task was given to me. Start a YouTube channel and start teaching the mysteries to anyone who will listen to it. And so here I am. This is what I'm doing. And I'm telling you that you're more than you think you are. And you need to seriously do some very deep, frustratingly difficult self-work to get to the bottom of your mystery, the mystery that is you. You. And really know who you are. Where do you come from? Why do you think you are the way you are? Why do you tick the way you tick? What do you want? Like, what do you really want? Do you want money, or is money a means to getting something? Do you want power? Do you really want power, or do you want to not be afraid? Right? Do you want to be a good fighter? Do you want to be a warrior? Well, do you really want to be a warrior, or do you want to not feel like, excuse you. You all right? Lily, you all right? Not going to throw up on my porch, are you? Hope she doesn't throw up on my porch. Do you want to be a good fighter or warrior? A good fighter or a warrior? Or do you want to be that because you feel like you want to have some agency and you don't feel like you have any agency? These are things to start asking, right? These are the questions that need to be asked. Where is home? Not where do you live, but where's home? Where does home reside? Where is that? Is it here? Is it the place you are now? Are you from here, or are you from the stars? Are you in the heavens, in the highest branches of Yggdrasil? We don't know how to describe the color blue. And so we use allegory. The universe is like a tree. Faith is like a mustard seed. Love is like a warm blanket. Peace is like a bird sheltering its children in a storm. Time is like a serpent that eats its own tail. These are things we use, pictures, to help us understand things that are bigger than ourselves. Who is Kevin? Who is James? Who is Rebecca? Rebecca is like a person who went on a long journey. And forgot who she was or where she is going. So she wakes up one day in a foreign land among a foreign people with foreign ways. And she assumes it's normal to feel the way she does. Well, no, let's say that differently. She assumes the world around her is normal because she forgot where she came from. Who is Bear? Me. Bear was like a person who went on a long journey and found himself in a foreign land among a foreign people. And he fell into a great river and drowned. When he woke up, he did not remember who he was, who his people were, who his kin were. And so, everything was told to him. Your name is Bear. You're a Republican. I grew up as my parents were Republicans when I was a kid. You know, at the time when I grew up, I was Christian growing up. So I was told that I was Bear and that I'm a Republican and I'm a Christian and that Jesus was the only way and the truth and the life. But You know, you can't blame the people who raised us because they don't know themselves. It's time to break the cycle. It's time for you to take some self-responsibility and not blame your parents, not blame your government, not blame your society. You are the way you are, especially if you're an adult or want to call yourself an adult. You are the way you are because you've been duped, you've been lied to, you've been played for a fool, and you've believed it. That's on you. Doesn't mean that you should have known better because you didn't know any better. It doesn't mean that what happened to you was not okay. It wasn't okay. But it takes a real man and a real woman who is worthy of the name, who has enough strength and willpower in here to admit when something bad has happened and that they have gone the wrong way. I, Bear, have believed a lie. I have. I, Bear, am capable. I am capable of being duped, being led astray, to believing things that aren't true. I, Bear, am perfectly able to walk down a wrong path if I think it is the right path. And so it is on you to ask the gods, or whichever god it is that you follow, to teach me the truth no matter what the cost. As my friend Jacob Israel would say, to seek more and, well, actually I stole that phrase from him. Tell me the truth no matter what the cost. That's actually from him. Because there's more to you than you think. There's more to you than you believe is possible. You can do more than you think is physically possible. Why do you think wizards are so popular? Why do people want to be Gandalf? I laugh when I say that because I actually have a staff right here. My back has been going out. I broke my back when I was younger. And so every so often it spasms out, and so sometimes I walk around with a stick. Makes me look like I want to be a wizard, but it's really just a good way of getting around town is what it is. Why do you think D&D is so popular? Why do people like video games? Becoming a wizard or a warrior or a thief? Because it speaks to a truth. It speaks to something in here that we can't describe. We want to be powerful. We want to be beautiful. We want what we say to matter. We want people to listen to us. We want to be taken seriously. We want to be able to enter a room and have everyone notice or not notice. To be able to handle any situation that comes. I forget the name of the philosopher who said it. But for those of you who follow Stoicism, you probably know this. When a challenge arises, we should be able to say, I have prepared for this. I've trained for this. But people want to be a wizard. They want to be a warrior. They want to be a druid of some ancient wisdom. They want to be a vampire. They want to be a rogue. But who among you is actually willing to work for that? To become that? To train for that? To become strong in mind and body? To ask tough questions of yourself and demand that you come up with good answers? To, instead of whining that life should be better, that life should be easy, that things should be given to you, that you deserve more, to stand up and say, you know what? I don't deserve more because I haven't earned more. I haven't worked on myself. I have become fat, and I become lazy, and I become self-indulgent, and I become self-entitled. And if I am to be a divinity worthy of the name, I should damn well stand up and earn the motherfucker. I should earn that right. Nothing is given to you for free. There is always, 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 100% of the time, an energy exchange for everything that you do. The very act of breathing burns calories. And you have to replenish that. You have to go eat something. And so you expect to be given everything while exchanging nothing. And I think the heathen community mercifully has a one leg up on most other people in this regard, because the heathen community kind of expects that. Our gods might be goofy, and they might do goofy things, and our chaos god might have strapped his balls to a goat to make a giantess laugh. But it's all a bit of a gallows humor, isn't it? It's all a bit like the guy from the 300 saying that we'll fight in the shade. It's a bit like the guides are goofy because we know the principle behind the thing, don't we? We know that we have to work for things. We expect to. We're not typically a lazy kind of folk. We believe in honor and strength and standing up for ourselves. These aren't things we take lightly. And so, mercifully, I think most of this kind of stuff will not be lost on this audience. But to most people out there in the world, this concept is lost on them. Give me what I want. I have earned nothing, and I deserve everything. And so mankind has descended even further down the rabbit hole and has become drunk on its own hubris and has become animals and are proud to declare themselves animals and to behave like animals. And if you think for an instant that there won't be consequences for that kind of behavior, you're very wrong. There isn't a disaster myth that exists. There isn't a disaster myth that exists in which mankind isn't implicated on bringing it down on themselves. It would be wise, let's just say this, it would be wise if you're such a person to strongly reconsider your stance. Well, this was fun. I love this stuff, clearly, and I could talk about it for literally hours on end. And I've been talking for almost an hour and a half now. And so you're probably done listening to me visit. Thank you for listening. I know this kind of talk is controversial. And I know that it isn't the cup of tea of most. And I know this isn't the doctrine of most heathens out there. I doubt this video will be posted on any Facebook groups or anything like that. But this video is meant for those people who are ready to hear it, and who need to hear it. And, well, this whole channel is that way. I don't pretend to be anything more than I'm not. I've openly told you that me saying I'm in a mystery school isn't that impressive. And you certainly shouldn't be that impressed when someone tells you that they're a Mason. Because it doesn't mean a whole lot. But I believe in my heart that what I'm saying is true and that you need to hear it. You've been fed bullshit your whole life. And it's time for once someone just told you the truth. You're more than you think you are. You have more within you than you think you are. You're a fucking divinity. You are called to things that are beyond even the wildest scope of imagination of the indigenous people that live here on this earth. You are not indigenous here. This is not your home. This is not your people. This isn't your place. You are the sons and daughters of something that is greater, far greater than yourself. And it is my sincere hope that you really hear me when I say that. For you who listen. For Carmen and Don and Tobias and Kelly and Alex and Jason and Jacob. The Truth Seeker and all those other ones that are out there have commented and have asked questions and have to Scott, my friend, and Neo, and my friend in South Africa, all of you. To my friend in Iowa, to my friend in Arizona. I want you to know the truth. And I hope that you're willing to hear it. So, until next time, I've drinking a lot of booze. And I hope that you've had a good time too. I hope you've also poured yourself alcoholic beverage while you were listening. If you're legally of legal age, of course. I would dare suggest you do anything that isn't to the T of the law as passed down by our superiors. I just want you to be free. I want you to know you're free men and women. And the worst they could do is kill you. And if they do that, they set you free. So fuck them and remember who you are. Have a good evening, everybody. I hope you're safe out there. And the gods be with you. Bye-bye.